Hello everybody, and welcome back to the workshop. It's been a while, I know. I've been busy streaming, having fun playing a little Bioshock Infinite, but we're going to get back into what actually started the channel here, and I want to build something. Now, in the past, we've done a couple of swords, a shield, a little toy rocket. What I want to do this time, something a little more grounded in reality. I'm going to actually duplicate something that I have for real. We are going to do a Bowie knife. Or a hunting knife, you know, your choice. I guess it's not truly a Bowie. But we got this nice little knife here. Now this one is very real and very sharp. If you are messing around with a real one, it goes without saying, don't play around with the edge or the point of this. This could hurt and possibly kill somebody. So be very careful messing with these. It's just like the power tools. You don't want to play around with it. Now, in any case, I'm going to try to make my little replica as accurate as I can. We're going to go ahead and use a solid piece of wood for the blade, just like we've done with the swords. I'm going to do a full tang into the handle here. And then once it's in the handle, what I'm actually going to do is I'm probably going to layer a couple of slightly thicker pieces on here. So we'll have a handle that's about an inch thick or so, just like this one. Crossguard is going to be another separate piece with a slot cut in the middle. And once we got all the pieces together, glue them down first, and then I'm going to go ahead and drill and tap pegs down into this to get this look here where you can see the rivets that are holding this one in. And I'm probably even going to do that little hole that you see there, if you can see it at all. But there's a hole right through here. I guess that's meant for like a lanyard or something so you can hang it. But in any case, I'm going to go ahead and make a duplicate of this. We're going to start out, since we're doing a real item, and we're not actually drawing from scratch or taking from an illustration, what I'm going to start out doing here, it's not going to be on this piece of paper, obviously, because there's stuff all over it. But we're going to turn around and we're going to take it, place it down on a piece of paper that it fits on, and take here. Basically, it's real simple. You'll just take it, you lay it down on your paper, like so. Again, be careful of the edge. And you'll take a pencil or a pen or a marker, whichever you want to do. Just kind of do a rough trace around the outer edges of this. Try to get it as tight as you can to the knife. Now, you're not going to see anything on here because it's really faint. But once you've got that done, then you just go in and you mark the spots where you need to cut the separate pieces. You'll go ahead and you'll mark off the edge here, and then here for this, and then put the dots in for the holes that you're going to drill. Now, when you do go to cut that out, you want to be careful. You want a separate drawing, or at least a separate cutout for the handles, because you want that blade to go all the way down the handle, so you want to make sure you don't cut it off right at the little cross guard here. But in any case, I'm going to get started on this. I'm going to go ahead and draw up my own little drawing of this, and I will be back shortly, and we'll go from there. Transfer it on, cut it out, all that fun stuff. I will see you guys in a minute. Well, we've gone ahead and I traced around the actual knife. You can see here, I got a little paper cutout here. Did this on a relatively thick construction paper just to give it some substance. I just traced along the outline of the actual knife and did a little circle about where the hole was in the handle. And then what I did was I cut this out, just a pair of scissors, no big deal. You can use a knife if you're more comfortable with that. And I just kind of laid it down on the wood. Traced out the outline, first off of the overall knife. And then I did one of the handle here, and here. And then I did the cross guards here. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take and cut all these pieces out. And we'll be back once I got those done. Now as you can see, got ahead and got all the little pieces of rough cut out. In retrospect, I always seem to do this. I come up with an idea afterwards, but I actually probably should have done at least one layer like that. But we'll have to do them separately instead, because you actually want the little crossguard piece to stick out above the handle, kind of like that. But since we're adding extra layers on there, that's not quite thick enough, so you need to add one more to make it look right. Oops. But that's okay. This is all our little pieces. The next step is to actually sand them down smooth. Again, important thing when you cut these out is do not cut them directly on the line. You want to leave a little bit of extra space on there because you're going to use your sander to smooth that down. And the saw is not going to be able to get the nice, neat, smooth edge that the sander can do. So you definitely want to leave a little bit extra on there so you can grind it down, make everything nice and smooth, round all the edges. And of course your blade, you're going to want to put the bevel on here so that you got an actual edge. So anyways, next step is going to be to sand those down. I will be back once these are sanded and we'll go from there. As you can see, got our individual little pieces cut out and sanded down. These are all ready to go. They fit right on there nice and neatly. They might need a little bit of finish sanding to make sure everything matches up nice, like perfectly. But for now, that's pretty good. That is the thickness of our handle. That's what it's going to be. Now, hunting knives like this, the handles aren't quite as big around as they are on a sword handle. So it's not going to be the full inch thick. This is about 3/4 of an inch, and then we're going to smooth the edges a little. But as you can see, the way that's lined up, that's just about perfect. Maybe need a little bit of tweaking. But we got that there. We got these pieces here all set up, ready to go, added on there. All that. Nice and neat. Went ahead and actually, the actual knife has a notch right here. Now, I'm not sure exactly. I guess it's for additional grip or whatever. And I actually have a real edge on this one. This isn't a mock edge like I have on most of the swords. This is such a small, broad shape, it was really easy to get an actual edge on it. Now, I did kind of get rid of the tip, so, I can't really jab myself. Still kind of sharp, so you want to be careful if you're doing this. But, there's, as it sits right now, that is essentially a throwing knife, the way it sits. But I'm going to go ahead and put the handles and all that on. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead, and you can do this if you want to too, if you're following along with this. I'm going to go ahead and paint the blade. This is actually going to be silver. I'm going to do it silver all the way down the middle because an actual hunting knife, I do not have it here with me. I put it in another room for some reason. But the actual hunting knife, you'll notice if you look at it this way, it's not just a solid wood handle. Usually you can see the metal of the blade go all the way down. They call that the tang. That goes all the way down into the handle. Makes it a lot more solid. If this were real metal, and you just kind of put the wood grips on either side, you're essentially gripping one big piece of metal instead of a piece of metal stuck into a wooden handle. So it's a lot more solid that way. That's also what the rivets in the handle were for. So, anyways, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get this painted. I'll be back after I got this painted. I'm going to try to stain the handle. Instead of painting it, it'll look a lot more natural, bring out the grain of the wood, which, it's not perfect. The grain should be going one direction, but, this is a scrap piece of wood that I used to cut the handle out, so the grain doesn't exactly follow it. But in any case, it'll show actual wood grain once this is stained. If that works, you'll see a nicely stained handle and a painted metal piece and painted cross guards here. If it doesn't work, you'll see a painted brown handle, and then everything else will be painted like normal. In any case, I will see you guys in a moment once I'm done with that. Alright, well, as you can see, gone ahead, got this all painted up nice and neat. This really looks like a throwing knife now, but got that nice bright silver paint job on there. You can still see the wood grain through it, but that's okay. You're not supposed to make this look like a real knife. It is just a mock-up, basically. Got the wood stain, which actually worked really well. I don't know how you guys can see this, but the wood grain really shows through on here and actually looks good on this one. To be honest, it doesn't look quite as nice on the other handle because there's a knot right there in the wood, but still looks pretty good. You still see some grain in there. Did initially do the wrong side and go, oops, okay, that won't work. Got to put it that way, but I'm good to go for now. Now, if you were wondering, the cross guards, I have not painted those yet. because I realized once this is assembled, I may have to shape these just a bit to make them all nice and smooth, so I'm holding off on that. So that means I may scuff a little bit of paint off here, but that's okay because this crossguard section is going to be gold like the rest of it anyways, so it doesn't really matter if I scrape off some of the silver. But yeah, so that's our basic components. We are ready for assembly. So next step, I'm going to glue the handle and the crossguard pieces on, and I will be back after I've gotten that done. Now, as you can see, we got everything all sanded, painted, put together. Now, as it sits, I could call this finished. This would actually make a very nice looking display piece the way it sits. It almost looks real, actually. You got to look to see the wood grain here on the blade. But for completionist's sake, since we're basing this off of another knife, this one in particular that I showed you at the beginning of the video, as you can see, now I couldn't do anything about the handle because quite frankly I did not have a stain of this color. All I had was this darker one. So that's okay. And I actually prefer the look of the metal coming through the handle like that, so that's why I left it that way instead of making it a solid handle. But, as you might notice here, you've got a couple of other little things. You got this little hole here, which I'm assuming is for a lanyard of some kind. I may be wrong on that. I'm not an expert on these things. And we also have the two little rivet holes that hold the thing in. Now, I did make the crossguard a little too big. In retrospect, I should have taken a better look at the real one here. But, as it sits, it's still pretty good. But as far as the handle here goes, what I'm going to do now, and I just hope this doesn't ruin it because it looks pretty good the way it is, actually. But I'm going to go ahead and drill a hole down through here and do this. Paint the edges that gold color so it looks just like there's metal around it like this one. And after that, if that turns out well, I am going to try to go ahead and put my own little version of these rivets through. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and drill holes in here and then take little wooden dowel rod pegs, paint those up gold to match so they look like they're metal. And then we're going to tap those down through so that they show through on both sides of the handle, kind of like that one does. Now, I'm not going to do anything about this little emblem here in the blade because, well, quite frankly, I don't know how. I could just paint it on, but that would kind of look like crap. So we're going to leave no emblem on the blade. But yep, so I am going to go ahead and drill those holes, put those pegs in, and I will be back with you guys once that's finished. And here we can see our finished knife. Now, sadly, with the rivets, as you might or might not be able to tell there, they are just painted on. What ended up happening was I had the drill bits that were the perfect size to do those, but I didn't have any dowel rods that were the right size. And I didn't want to sand those down because it's really difficult to get something perfectly round when you sand it. So instead I just, went with the gold paint and I sprayed a fixative over them. So that way I can do that and it doesn't rub or scrape them off. They're on there nice and solid. They're not going anywhere. And you may have also noticed the blade looks a little different, not quite as bright and shiny. That was an added bonus, actually, I think, of the fixative that I used. When I sprayed that on there, it actually darkened up and removed a lot of the chrome, but still made the blade look silver. And I like that, actually. For one, it actually almost completely got rid of the wood grain. You can barely see that, so it really looks like metal. And another thing is, most knives aren't really super bright and shiny like this. Or like this was, I should say. As like you can see here, this is a chunk of the actual paint, and I don't know how well that shows up. I'm going to try and put this close to the camera here. But you see the difference in coloring there. This is what it looks like coming out of the can. This is a lot closer to what real metal would look like up close. Now, the actual hunting knife, yes, that's a little brighter. It's also got fingerprints all over it. It's a little brighter, but as you can see, it's not like super shiny, super reflective. Because, well, real metal isn't generally like that unless it's chrome or something similar. And they polish that up real good. This is basically what unpolished metal would look like. And you can see there, they got, coloration's a little different. The crossguard's a little thicker than the real one, but otherwise that's pretty close, I think. Didn't turn out too bad. Now, of course, if you think you can do a better job of this, I do encourage you. One little tip if you're going to do this is, as I said earlier, the crossguards are not as thick. I misjudged that when I built it. I made these a little thicker. And as you can see looking down the end here, that is a decent amount thicker than the real one. The real one actually runs flush with the handle. I thought it stuck out for some reason. I don't know why I thought that. But in any case, if you're going to do this, it'd probably be a good idea to leave this extra layer of thickness off and make this crossguard flush with the handle. Because, like I said, on the real one, that just runs straight off there, no problem. It's also not quite as thick this way, as you can see. But making something this thin is actually kind of difficult, at least with the tools that I have on hand. But in any case, I like it. I think it turned out good. It's probably one of the better ones, actually, and a little better even than the swords that I did in the past. Getting a little better at it, learning. But in any case, there you go. That is our finished product. I like it. I hope you like it too. Now we're going to do this real quick. Hi! Figured out it would save time rather than cutting away. But that's it. That's our finished knife. Do I look like Michael Myers? Well, maybe Michael Myers plus about 30 pounds. But in any case, there you go. If you think you can do a better job, as I always encourage you to do, please try it. I'm not going to be surprised if you can do a better job, because this is just something I do for fun. It's not what I do for a living. I'm actually a graphic designer by trade. I do not build stuff. So, it's just a fun little hobby. I picked this up in college, kind of got bit by the bug, and I enjoy doing it. So, in any case, I would love to see it if you do something. Go ahead and send me a video. They got you can link it down below here, or somewhere down in here. Not quite sure how far down that border is going to go, but it's somewhere below me here. But I also have a Twitter account, so you can go ahead and tweet me any suggestions, any comments you might want to make that you don't want to put on the YouTube channel. On the other hand, if you got no problem placing the comments, go ahead, comment down below. Say what you want. Tell me it sucks. I don't care. Like I said, it's just something I enjoy doing. I'm just going to keep doing this even if the videos don't work. I'm still going to do it for fun. But, yeah, and as always, if you have any future suggestions, anything you'd like to see me do, go ahead and put those down there too, or tweet them to me. I check the Twitter, not every day, but, several times a week I check it. And YouTube I'm always on. I check that every single day. And I would love to see your suggestions, or at least your comments on this. But thank you again for watching. And I don't know why I just bowed like that. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.